Okay, this is part 2 of the MINV-Command introduction. In the first video we showed how we want to create a command called HOVK for home backspace. The N means prompt me for a number. It would say how many lines. I would say 18 because I already know it's 18. And then it would select 18 lines and then do a regular expression replacement to change all new lines to nothing, which would effectively be the same thing as pressing home backspace. Okay? When I compose long phrases, that's what I like to do, is have everything on different lines. So this is the master phrase that we discussed, and this is the configuration that we created and we imported. It's already imported into PhraseExpress. So now what we need to do in order to finish is to build the MINV command, and then we can show how we use it. So here's the master phrase, and the first thing that we need to do is get the master phrase description. So let's get the master phrase description, and then MINV master phrase description. Okay. So it is now reading in the configuration and then printing out the master phrase name with its description. Now this description contains a lot of information. This comment is just some diagnostic information, but the most important part is the syntax summary. This is the summary of all the available commands, all the commands that are available to you. So let's put this together. Okay, so that's the master phrase. This is also its auto text. And the last thing that we need to do to build it is to create the actual MINV commands themselves. And this is just simply triggering a process and just letting it go. You don't have to understand it, just import it when you're done. So MINV-CAG for all command auto-generated phrases. MINV-CAG for the HOVK command. Reading and configuration, and then printing out all of the utilities. So this is really the MINV command right here. You don't have to understand these. We're going to explain every single one. It's done. So now let's save this, import it into PhraseExpress. Okay. Okay, now normally I would not have the master phrase in the same file as the auto-generated, but for the sake of this demo. Okay. So maybe demo, so move the command over. I just created a macro to do the import. Okay. And now we can actually run this. Okay, so HO lines, it's 18 lines, so go to the end, HOVK, N for prompt me a number. Now here's what we configured. We wanted it to say how many lines up. Okay, so 18 lines up. It selects the lines, gets rid of all the new lines, goes to the end. Okay. Now, of course, we could do this for any number of lines. So HOVK N for whatever line, whatever number that we want. 10. Okay. So now, that's the basic use of HOVK, is to call HOVK N, give it a number, and it goes. However, there are a lot of things available to you for any MINV command, and this is the summary of what's available to you. So let's break this down. Okay, so this one first is HOVK N, which is the action, which is what we just did. Prompt for number, then go. Okay, now there's also phrase creators, which we'll talk about, which is HOBK HM, HOBK TM, and HOBK RM. And in addition, there is information, diagnostic information, which is HOBK F. Okay, now here is the MINV variable utilities. Now every MINV command requires a MINV variable. This happens to be that MINV, the abbreviation for that MINV variable, which is configured somewhere else. And all the available utilities for it are LNU, LNUP, NV, LNUF. And we'll talk about all of these in a minute. So first, let's focus on the phrase creators. Phrase creators. There's 3 of them. All MINV commands have phrase creators. First of all, what is a phrase creator? A phrase creator is what you can use to compose PhraseExpress code. Okay? And every command, every MINV command, provides you with these basic phrase creators so you can call this command from another phrase. Okay? So now again, this particular HOBK command is not, I don't find would be particularly useful in another phrase, calling it from another phrase. It's just something that I want to do. That's why it's an action. However, if I really want to, I can always call it by triggering one of these utilities. Now this one prints a literal set phrase for a specific number, then calls the master phrase. Okay. This is the same as HM with a shortcut, and this is the same as HM if you want to prompt your user for the number. So let's see these. Okay, so HM first, HOBK HM, HOBK HM. Again, how many lines up? That's what we wanted it to ask, and I'll say 10. Okay, so this first sets the MINV variable, which is again the heart of the loop. Here's the loop. This is the variable at the heart of that loop. So we're going to set it to 10, and then we're going to call the master phrase. Okay. Now HOBK TM is the same thing. We'll say 3 lines, but there's a shortcut. This set to 3 is a shortcut to this set phrase. I've configured the MINV variable to have a range of shortcuts from 1 to I think it's 100, because I'm going to use those a lot. So instead of seeing this long set phrase, I'm just going to use this shortcut instead. Okay, and then finally HOBK RM, which prompts your users. Okay, so these phrase creators help you create code. Alright, now the next one is the information. So information is for a human readable, much more user-friendly version of the MINV commands configuration. So it's diagnostics. So whenever you need to know how you've configured it, you can just run HOBK F for information, and it prints out the configuration for you in a nicer format. So actions are on. This is a set to number prompt action, and this is what we wanted to ask. This is the variable, the abbreviation for the variable. Here's the name of the variable. That's the range of the set tos. The action name, okay, and some other information. So now finally we have the MINV variable utilities. Now this simply prints the current value for diagnostics. This is a phrase creator, and this is for information. Now, information is exactly a subset of what we just saw. So the MINV variable information is right here, and if we do VLN-UF, that's exactly what we're going to get. Okay, so just debugging. And then VLN-U is the most current value. That's 10. And then VLN-UF, we just did that. VLN-UP is a phrase creator, so you can call this MINV variable. VLN-UP. So this is very useful when I'm writing the master phrase, because I can just say LOPC, and then I can go VLN-UP, and I already have the loop for the master phrase. Okay, so that is pretty much the basics of MINV commands. This is a simple application. There's a lot more that you could do with it, but thanks for listening.